Hello, my Panda pals, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be doing part 1 of what happened on Before the 90 Days, Season 7, Episode 4. Fair warning, I had a ton of shit to say about this one, so buckle up, kiddies. With that said, let's get right into it. Let's check in with Loren and Faith. Faith comes over to pick Loren up to take him to the market. Loren tells us that he is super duper sad that they did not get to bang last night, but he's not worried about it because they're gonna spend all of today getting to know each other and getting real close.
Today's a new day. We're gonna get to know each other more, and who knows what happens tonight.
Nothing. You will do nothing. Well, I mean, you're gonna do nothing with Faith, but I'm sure you and your right hand are gonna have a blast tonight. Loren tells Faith that he only has American dollars with him right now, and Faith tells him not to worry, the front desk can exchange currency for him, and asks him how much money he wants to change out. And Loren tells him he wants to exchange all of it. And Faith is like, okay, big spender. How much is all of it?
Like 45, 46?
That's right, folks. He brought all 46 of his dollars with him. That's enough for dinner or a movie.
Is this all you have?
I mean, I have some more money, but it's like an pending charge. I'm sure eventually I have some money.
So I get that he's saying that his money is tied up in a pending charge that's gonna fall off soon, but like, he a broke-ass bitch. What is that pending charge for? A $3 granola bar that you bought in return at the airport? Faith is not happy, but she is able to super quickly repress her concerns because Loren is her first and potentially only boyfriend.
I'm not with Loren for his money.
Good, cause he ain't got any of that. Even though Faith is in this for love, she is confused at how a white dude living in America can work all day every day and still have zero money. They head to one of the most famous markets in Manila, and Loren tells us he is in love with how freaking cheap everything is. And he looks at Faith and he's like, let me get you whatever you want, baby girl, cause I got money, honey. And Faith is like, bitch, where? They browse a bunch of shops, and Loren tells us he is so thrilled to finally be able to afford whatever the hell he wants and to be able to shower his girlfriend with whatever the hell she wants. So he is going absolutely ham at this market. He is buying. He buys slippers, he buys a bunch of dresses, and he buys a bunch of towels. From what we see, he spends a total of $7, which that is not a lot of money. Like, that is less than the cost of a Happy Meal for me. But when you consider the fact that he only has enough money to buy 4 of those Happy Meals, like, maybe you should slow down a tiny bit.
This is just one more reason why starting a life with Faith in the Philippines would be a great idea. I could financially be stable for once.
Loren and Faith head back to the hotel so that Loren can meet her coworker and closest friend, Mama Ding. They all sit down, and Mama Ding starts off by asking Loren if he loves Faith. And obviously, he says yes. Cause what kind of crazy, insane person is gonna answer that question any other way?
You love her?
Of course. I tell you I love you.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's good.
You wanna know what would be better? Having a job. Mama Ding asks Loren what his plans are for the future regarding Faith. And Loren tells her that it's a little complicated, but one random thought that's been floating around in his mind is for him to stay in the Philippines forever with Faith and never go back home. Mama Ding looks at him and she's like, I'm so sorry. Stupid American said what?
Why?
What do you mean, why? The cost of living is lower.
Faith is also confused because she has always told him that she wants to move to America, and he has never once expressed a single interest in moving to the Philippines. Mama Ding tells him that it makes a lot more sense to bring Faith to the US, and Loren just goes in raw, no lube, and says, I can't, I'm homeless.
I don't make enough money to afford to live anywhere.
At this point, I would have packed him a little tiny doggy bag and then told him to take his $30 and go f himself straight to hell. Faith tells us, yeah, so Loren did mention that renting alone in the US is difficult, but I didn't think that meant he wasn't renting at all. Yeah, and also, has he never heard of roommates?
It worries me that he is such a bad place financially.
Mama Ding says that it's going to be incredibly difficult for Loren to find work in the Philippines because the job market is hella unstable and he is a foreigner. And she tells us that she feels like Loren is just using Faith because she has a stable job. And yeah, that's exactly what's happening. She goes on to tell Loren that pay in the Philippines is absolute ass and they will struggle. And Loren's like, nah, we're gonna be fine.
I could make it work because I could just do a computer job in America. I'd make American money in the Philippines.
Now, living in the Philippines while working remotely for the US is a very valid plan. But, Loren, can you even get a computer job in the US? Because you're talking like that's gonna be no problem for you, but if it's that easy, then why aren't you working that computer job now?
Do you have those skills?
I have some IT training. I can answer a phone and take phone calls, and that'll be enough money for both of us, no problem.
Okay, so it sounds like he just wants to be like over-the-phone support tech like AppleCare. Now, as someone who has worked managing over-the-phone support AppleCare techs, let me tell you, they will fire you for anything. Took 2 minutes to go run and take a piss, but you didn't stop your timer? Fired. Your internet isn't super great and it causes you to get disconnected way too many times? Fired. You checked Facebook twice on your work computer in the past week? F-I-R-E-D, fired. Loren is not gonna make it.
I don't know if Faith feels differently about me now, but I did sacrifice a lot to get here. I hope she can see and appreciate that.
What did you sacrifice? You have no job, no money, no home. Mama Ding is like, so Faith, how do you feel about all of this? And Faith is like, you know what? I know in my heart of hearts that he's a hardworking person. Oh, really? Is that why he has no job, no money, no home? He got none of that because he just works so damn hard?
I just want to find who will be the person to, accept me for who I am as a trans woman.
Stop it! First of all, you can absolutely find someone who is not a pile of garbage in a skin suit to accept you as a transgender woman. Secondly, let's just pretend like you can't. God came down from the heavens, looked you straight in the eyes and says, you either get to be with Loren or you're gonna die alone. Die alone! Die alone! You wanna know why? Because you will at least die happy.
I don't mind to have not enough money. It's okay, then I found you.
You should though. I mean, it's one thing to not care whether or not your partner makes a lot of money, but your partner makes zero money. Plus, he has zero ambition, zero life goals, and zero ability to tell you the truth.
I don't feel like Mama Ding thinks I'm the best option, but at least she knows that I accept Faith for who she is.
That is not the only thing you have to bring to a relationship, you absolute dipshit. Faith tells us she doesn't care about his finances because love is all that matters in the end. She is super happy that Loren is finally starting to be honest.
I just hope there are no more secrets.
Ooh, you got some surprises coming, girl. I am very curious to see how you explain all those away. It is a new day and Loren tells us that he got a not so super great text from his friend. So apparently, before he came to the Philippines, his friend slept over one night and then she slobbed his knob and she just texted him to tell him that she tested positive for the gonorrhea.
Turns out she has gonorrhea of the throat, which means I most likely have gonorrhea of the penis.
I guess Loren just found out that karma is indeed a bitch.
My penis is upset.
And yes, Loren is pretty sure he got it because he has been wondering why he's been having some weird stuff going on with his junk ever since he landed in the Philippines. He is obviously not super excited to tell Faith about this, and honestly, I'm impressed that he even decided to tell her at all instead of just sleeping with her and then finding a way to gaslight her into believing that she's the one who gave it to him.
I want that Philippine dream. I'm trying to make it come true, but I'm not batting 1,000 right now. This has potential to ruin our relationship.
I hope it does, you penis-burning bitch. Let's check in with Brian and Ingrid. It is a new day, and Brian does confirm that the two of them did not make the beast with two backs, as if we would not have been able to come to that very obvious conclusion ourselves. Brian tells us that his previous partners who were unfamiliar with life in a wheelchair needed a ton of time to play catch up, and he really hopes that Ingrid will be able to catch up quickly. And bro, it is not a matter of whether she can catch up quickly or not. You set the wrong expectations. You told her that you were fully independent, you didn't need no help. And then within the first few hours of meeting her, you asked her to help you with everything from taking off your pants to giving you a half-ass jerk and then shoving a catheter up your pee-pee hole. Ingrid tells us that she's super happy to be with Brian, but she's kind of confused because she feels like he lied to her big time.
Que é muito independente, pediu pra mim instalar o aparelho no carro, né? Me pediu pra tirar a camiseta dele.
And if he didn't lie to her and he is genuinely independent, then is he just testing her patience or willingness to help? Which, girly, either of those options is a giant red flag. They head out, and in the car, Ingrid confesses that she has not told a lot of people in her life about their relationship. She says that her father is the pinnacle of ignorance, and Brian, who is apparently challenging him for that title, asks her, so how long has he been like that?
E quanto tempo seu pai estava assim? Sempre?
Sim.
Entendi.
Yes, always. Ignorant means you're a little stupid. It is not a cold. You're not intelligent one day and then you catch being a dumbass. Brian then asks her how old her father is, and she's like, 54? And he's like, oh my God, no way, we're like the same age. I'm 51.
Você não sabia a minha idade?
Brian, 51?
Sim, sabia não?
And Ingrid looks over at him and she is really confused. And you wanna know why? Because for the last 2 years, this pathologically lying fucker lied to her about how old he was.
Calma aí, Ingrid.
Brian, você sempre falou pra mim que era 45. Então
Menina,
você
já
mentiu a sua idade pra mim.
So Ingrid's sitting over there and she's like, nah, dude, you told me you were 45. And this gaping butthole starts gaslighting her.
Tá louca? Nunca tinha problema pra falar minha idade. Não esconde, até tô com orgulho pra falar.
Ingrid tells us she doesn't know why he lied about his age or why he lied about something like how much help he was gonna need from her. And it's making her really nervous about what he's gonna tell her next. Who knows, girl? Maybe he doesn't even have a penis. Maybe he just has a butthole where his penis should be. He is so full of shit that he needs 2 of them. Brian tells us he doesn't know what the big deal is because it's just a 6-year difference.
For me, age is just a number. I mean, I'm still the same guy that she's been with for the last 2 years talking to. It didn't change anything for me.
Of course it doesn't change anything for you, you absolute dipshit. You weren't the one being lied to. Brian tries his best to change the subject and probably garner some sympathy points, so he mentions that he absolutely loves driving and that after his accident, he really felt guilty because his sister had to pick him up all of the time until he was able to get to a point where he could drive himself around. And Ingrid is like, yeah, that must have been hard. Why don't you tell me exactly how you ended up in that wheelchair? Cause you've never told me the details and I'm finding out that you like to lie to me a lot. Brian, super casually, is like, yeah, so, I don't think I've ever told you that I used to sell and do a bunch of drugs. And Ingrid is like, yeah, no, you definitely left that one out. And he's like, oh, really? Geez, that's wild.
Tô pensando, eu nunca contei pra você que eu vendi droga. Contei não?
Não.
Eita. Uau.
Uau, é muita coisa?
He goes on to say that he used and sold a lot of drugs for 5 years, and that is actually when he met his second wife. He tells Ingrid that he used to be a person that came home, drank a whole case of beer while doing a whole bunch of coke. And he tells us that his life during this time was super exciting. He was the popular guy and he loved it. And despite having to cut off all of his family members because they disapproved of his lifestyle, he was making way more money than all of them combined, so he kept doing it. Eventually, he says he wanted a fresh start, so he told his wife that he didn't love her anymore.
Eu tentei para deixar tudo atrás. Eu precisei começo novo. Então, fala, mulher, eu tô sentindo amor para você, mas não.
And I guess she got super mad and hired hitmen to take him out. Warning, I'm about to go on a really long ass rant, so buckle up. At first, I was a little confused because he literally says, I used to do a bunch of drugs and then I turned into a giant zombie. I didn't like who I was. I wanted a fresh start. So I told my wife I did not love her anymore and I wanted to end our relationship. And to me, those 2 lines of thought didn't really make sense. Like, there's a piece of the story that we're missing to connect those 2 things, right? Like, he's not telling us something. And oh boy, is he not telling us something. In this conversation with Ingrid in the car, he is making it sound like his second wife is the reason why he started doing and selling drugs, right? Like he's putting a lot of the onus on her. However, one of you guys sent me an interview that Brian did in 2021, and it was quite illuminating. He recounts this exact story that he's trying to tell Ingrid, but he gives us the full version in that interview. So he started using and selling drugs when he was in high school. At that time, it was mostly weed and alcohol. He marries his high school sweetheart, so his first wife, and then he starts getting super deep into the clubbing, the drug using and selling scene, and he basically starts to neglect his wife, and his wife is not happy about that.
Staying out till 4 or 5 in the morning. Then I started doing cocaine with my buddy, womanizing, having affairs at work. The relationship fell apart, obviously.
And so he ends up breaking things off with his wife, stating that it is her fault that he's leaving her because she was unable to fulfill her quote unquote wifely duties.
So I blamed that on her, that she didn't know how to cook. She didn't know how to clean. She wasn't doing her womanly things that keep me there.
He eventually meets an older woman. She's super rich, in like her mid or late 30s, and he ends up moving into her huge house with her. One day, she is in her walk-in closet. He goes into her room. She comes out. She's like super skittish. She's super nervous. She's jumping. She's like, oh my God, like I didn't know you were there. And Brian is like, why were you so nervous coming out of your walk-in closet? And she's like, oh, no reason. You just, like I said, you just scared me. And then she leaves. Brian is super suspicious, so he sneaks into her room. He opens the door and he finds a huge stash of coke. Now, Brian is super pissed that not only did she lie to him about why she was nervous that he was in the room, but she was hiding this massive stash of coke from him. So he tells us that he put like sugar in water and like left her a note being like, this is what you get for lying to me. Like, I'm the man of the house and this is what happens when you cross me. So essentially he's like saying, I ruined all of your coke, right? What he actually ended up doing was he took her stash of coke, he went to the park with his friends, he snorted a whole bunch of lines, and then he ended up making his first sale. And he realized that coke is way more lucrative than weed ever could be. And so he was like, I want to start doing this. So he goes back to her house and he confronts her and he's like, listen, I am the man of the house, so why don't you sit back and relax and do your womanly thing and take care of me, and I will sell all of the coke. And that is how he started getting into dealing the harder stuff. In the interview, what is crazy to me is Brian says shit like, you know what? Looking back on that experience, I think she planned all of that. Like, she definitely orchestrated me finding her stash so that I would, in my weakened and vulnerable state, offer to step up as the man and do all of this work for her, and then she would have me under her thumb.
I said, hey, I'm the man of the house. Let me run the drugs. You stay home. And I guess I fell right into what she wanted. Probably set all that up now that I think about it.
So not only was he unable to take accountability for his actions in the past, after all of the shit he went through, all of these trials and tribulations, the trauma and all the growth that came after it, allegedly, it is very clear, judging by the choices and the behaviors that he is currently exhibiting and making, he is still a super no bueno guy. Rant over. Ingrid is literally drowning in all of this new information, and she tells him that she does not feel super great about what she just heard. And Brian snaps back and is like, well, yeah, it's not meant to make you feel good.
Ai, meu Deus do céu. Não tô bem com essa notícia, não. Não tô.
Ingrid asks him why he didn't tell her about his past with drugs until after they met in person, and he says he doesn't know, but it really doesn't change anything, so it doesn't matter. And Ingrid obviously disagrees.
Que me garante se esse homem não vai, se essa mulher não vai usar cocaína daqui pra frente, depois que talvez você não faça mais isso, porque você não...
Oh, that was going in with no lube. Brian says that he is hella hurt and offended. He went through absolute hell and he would never put himself in the position to potentially go through that hell again.
I'm very disappointed to hear this from Ingrid. I mean, I was hoping because it's ancient history, it wouldn't be a big deal.
He reassures her that he's a completely different person than who he was in the past.
Everybody has a past, and I'm not ashamed of mine.
Okay, but like, if you're not ashamed of it, then why did you never bring it up in the 2 years that you guys have been dating? He does tell us he chose not to tell Ingrid because he felt it would be easier to do in person. And just so you know, Brian, ain't nobody buying that bullshit.
I did not expect her to react the way that she did.
Truly astounds me how he genuinely thought she would take that news well. Brian heads to the pool for a dip while Ingrid orders them some food. Now, while she waits for the food, she tells us that she is overwhelmed. She got a lot of new and absolutely shitty information all at once today, and now she's left feeling super betrayed and kind of scared. Brian tells us that he's upset and he starts to get emotional and cry because he feels like he's being judged for his past.
The comments that got to me were, you can revert back to that like tomorrow. Maybe you're not selling drugs now because you're not walking. That's up.
That was definitely painful for him to hear, and he's valid in feeling hurt, but I don't think Ingrid said it as like a heat of the moment, only saying it even though I don't mean it because I just want to hurt you. I think it's a very genuine and valid concern of hers. For over 2.5 years, you have presented yourself to her as being this one way, and she is learning in 24 hours nonstop that you have just been lying to her. Of course, she's having difficulty believing you when you say things like, I promise I would never go back to dealing or doing drugs. You've literally been proving to her that you are nothing but a big fat liar.
But I understand it is a lot to take in. So I'm gonna be patient, I'm gonna give it some thought, I'm gonna give her time and work through it. We got time.
Oh, what a stand-up guy! You're gonna give her some time to process all of your lies. Yes, that is right. You are the victim in this current situation. Ingrid tells us that if she's being honest, she would not have continued dating Brian had she known about his past early on. But she thinks Brian knew this and strategically hid it from her until they met.
Falar antes, ela não vai me dar nem a chance de conhecer ela. E relacionamento começa com mentira, como que eu vou confiar nele?
And that, my Panda Pals, is all I have for you today. I hope you guys liked this video. If you are not subscribed yet, please do consider clicking that subscribe button and giving this video a big furry thumbs up. And please be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of this absolutely batshit episode. I hope to see you guys for the next one. And as always, thanks for not letting me ride this train wreck alone. Bye!